Ma'am, if you touch that necklace again, security will remove you from the store. The cold voice sliced through the luxury jewelry showroom so sharply that every customer turned to stare. A young black woman slowly pulled her hand away from the diamond display while two white employees watched her like she was about to steal something. Soft piano music still played through the expensive Beverly Hills store, but the atmosphere had already changed completely. Humiliation. That familiar feeling settled deep in her chest again. The woman's name was Vanessa Cole, and 5 minutes earlier she had walked into Cartier Royale hoping to buy a birthday gift for her mother. Now security guards were quietly surrounding her from both sides while rich customers whispered and recorded videos with their phones. One employee crossed her arms tightly. Those pieces cost more than most people's houses. Vanessa blinked slowly. I know how much they cost. The older white manager stepped forward with a fake smile that somehow felt worse than yelling. Then I'm sure you also understand why our staff became concerned. Vanessa looked around the store carefully. Concerned? Interesting word. Nobody looked concerned when rich white teenagers touched watches worth hundreds of thousands earlier near the entrance. Nobody followed older white men carrying champagne through the showroom. Nobody asked Asian tourists if they could afford anything. But a black woman in simple clothes. Suddenly, the entire store became nervous. Vanessa stayed calm, even though anger was rising inside her chest now. I asked to see a necklace, she said quietly. That's all. The employee laughed softly under her breath. A necklace worth $400,000. Some customers nearby smirked openly. Vanessa felt heat crawl into her face, but she refused to break, because she knew exactly what these people wanted. They wanted emotion. They wanted her angry. People always became more comfortable once black women looked emotional. It helped justify the disrespect afterward. The manager pointed politely toward the exit. Perhaps another store would fit your needs better. And there it was. The coded language, the polished racism rich people used when cameras were around. Vanessa slowly nodded like she understood. Then she reached into her purse. The employees immediately stiffened. One security guard even placed a hand near his weapon. That hurt more than anything else. Not fear, assumption. Vanessa quietly pulled out her phone and checked the time. 4:52 p.m. 7 minutes left. The manager sighed impatiently. Ma'am, I'm asking you one final time to leave peacefully. Vanessa looked directly at him. What happens in 7 minutes? The employees exchanged confused looks. I'm sorry, the manager asked. Vanessa smiled faintly. You'll see. The tension inside the jewelry store thickened instantly. Outside the giant glass windows, Beverly Hills traffic rolled past beneath glowing California sunlight. Luxury cars lined the streets. Influencers posed beside designer stores. Tourists wandered through one of the richest shopping districts in America. And inside Cartier Royale, nobody realized their entire world was about to collapse. The younger employee shook her head. This is ridiculous. Vanessa stayed calm. Then suddenly the front doors opened. A sharply dressed older black man entered the store carrying several folders under his arm. Behind him walked 4 people in business suits and one woman holding a tablet. The employees immediately changed expressions. Money recognized money. The manager rushed forward, smiling. Now, welcome to Cartier Royale, sir. But the older man ignored him completely. Instead, he walked directly toward Vanessa. Then, something happened that froze the entire showroom. He smiled warmly and said, Sorry I'm late, Miss Cole. The acquisition lawyers delayed the transfer paperwork. Complete silence. The manager frowned. Acquisition. The older man finally turned toward him calmly. Yes, he answered. Ms. Vanessa Cole finalized purchase of Cartier Royale's parent company 30 minutes ago. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The younger employee actually laughed nervously because her brain refused to process what she heard. I'm sorry, what? The woman holding the tablet stepped forward professionally. Effective immediately, ownership of Beaumont Luxury Group has transferred to Cole International Holdings. The manager's face went pale instantly, because Beaumont Luxury Group didn't own one store. It owned all of them. Every Cartier Royale location across America. Vanessa slowly looked around the showroom now, at the employees, the guards, the rich customers who were recording her humiliation minutes earlier. Then she quietly asked, Now do I look like I can afford the necklace? Nobody answered. The security guard slowly removed his hand from his weapon. The younger employee looked physically sick, and the manager suddenly realized something terrifying. The black woman they tried throwing out of the store now owned their entire company. The silence inside Cartier Royale became suffocating. Nobody knew where to look anymore. The rich customers holding phones slowly lowered them, realizing the videos they recorded for entertainment had suddenly become evidence. One woman near the diamond section quietly slipped her phone into her purse while avoiding eye contact with Vanessa completely. The younger employee's face had turned bright red now. Just minutes earlier she had spoken to Vanessa like she was trash standing too close to wealth. Now her lips trembled as she struggled to say anything at all. Miss Cole, she whispered weakly. Vanessa looked at her calmly. Not angry, not screaming. That somehow made the situation even worse. The older black businessman beside Vanessa opened one of the folders carefully. The transition documents are complete, he said professionally. All executive authority officially transferred at 4:47 p.m. The manager swallowed hard. Sweat formed near his forehead despite the cold air conditioning inside the store. There must be some misunderstanding, he said quickly. If we offended you in any way, I deeply apologize. Vanessa almost smiled hearing that sentence. If we offended you. Like humiliation was some small misunderstanding. Like security surrounding her was an accident. Like racism only counted once rich people discovered money. Vanessa slowly walked toward the center of the showroom while expensive heels clicked softly across the marble floor. Every employee watched her now with pure fear in their eyes. You know what's interesting? She asked quietly. Nobody answered. I've been inside this store 3 times before today. The manager blinked nervously. The first time, Vanessa continued, a salesperson ignored me for 40 minutes while helping white customers who arrived after me. The younger employee lowered her head. The second time, security followed me through every section like I was planning a robbery. One security guard looked away in shame immediately. And today, Vanessa paused. Her eyes slowly moved across the room. You threatened to remove me for touching a necklace. Nobody could deny it, because everyone in that showroom witnessed exactly what happened. The businessman beside Vanessa quietly handed her another folder. She opened it slowly while the room stayed silent enough to hear pages turning. Do you know why I bought this company? She asked. The manager tried answering carefully. Investment opportunity? Vanessa looked directly at him. No. Then she closed the folder. My mother cleaned houses in Beverly Hills for 26 years. Something changed in her voice now. Emotion. Real emotion. She used to pass this store every Christmas after work. Vanessa looked toward the giant diamond display windows glowing beneath golden lights. And every year she stopped outside for a few seconds just to stare at the jewelry. The showroom remained silent. She never wanted expensive things. Vanessa continued softly. She just liked beauty. A painful smile touched her face briefly. When I was 12 years old, she brought me here one time because she saved enough money to buy herself a tiny silver bracelet. The manager's face slowly changed, because somewhere deep down, he already knew where this story was going. Vanessa looked at him again. They accused her of stealing. Nobody moved. They searched her purse in front of customers while I stood there crying. The younger employee covered her mouth slowly. Vanessa's eyes became distant now, like she was watching the memory happen again in front of her. My mother kept apologizing even though she did nothing wrong. Her voice cracked slightly. She apologized because poor black women learn early that survival sometimes means swallowing humiliation quietly. A deep guilt spreads through the room now. Several customers looked visibly uncomfortable. One older white woman even whispered, "Oh my God." Vanessa nodded slowly. The bracelet was later found behind the display counter after an employee misplaced it. The silence became heavier, but nobody apologized to my mother. The manager could barely breathe now. Instead of yelling, Vanessa stayed heartbreakingly calm, and that calm exposed everything. She walked out, holding my hand so tightly that it hurt. Vanessa whispered. Then she looked down at me outside the store and said something I'll never forget. Vanessa paused. The room waited silently. She said, "Vanessa, some people think money makes them human and poverty makes us invisible." A tear finally rolled down Vanessa's cheek, but she did not wipe it away. My mother died 2 years later from cancer. Several employees lowered their heads completely now. And before she died, Vanessa continued quietly. She made me promise something. The businessman beside her already knew the answer, but nobody else did. She told me if I ever became successful, Vanessa swallowed hard. Never let people like her feel small when they walk into beautiful places. The showroom fell completely silent. Even the rich customers recording earlier looked ashamed now, because suddenly this was no longer just a revenge story. This was grief, memory, pain carried for years. The manager stepped forward emotionally. "Miss Cole, I truly had no idea." Vanessa looked at him coldly now. "That's the problem." The air felt heavier instantly. "You didn't know anything about me," she said, "but you already decided who I was." Nobody could argue. She turned toward the younger employee. "What made you nervous when I touched the necklace?" The employee's lips trembled. I don't know." Vanessa tilted her head slightly. "No, you do know." The employee looked like she wanted to disappear. You saw simple clothes, Vanessa continued. You saw black skin. And your brain connected that to danger. Tears formed in the employee's eyes now. Vanessa did not raise her voice once, but every word landed like a hammer. Meanwhile, rich white teenagers walked through the store every day treating merchandise like toys. Nobody moved, but somehow I was the threat. A long silence followed. Then suddenly, one of the older security guards quietly spoke. She's right. Everyone turned toward him. The guard looked ashamed of himself. We profiled people constantly, he admitted, especially black customers. The manager snapped toward him immediately. Robert, no, the guard interrupted sadly. I'm tired. The entire room froze again. Robert looked toward Vanessa with guilt in his eyes. They trained us to watch certain people more closely. The truth finally sat naked in the middle of the showroom now. Not hidden, not denied, real. One customer quietly whispered, "This place is finished." And honestly, it felt true. Vanessa slowly walked toward the front display window where sunlight poured across diamonds worth millions. Then she turned back toward everyone. I didn't come here today planning revenge, she admitted. That surprised people. I actually came because today would have been my mother's birthday. Emotion tightened her voice again. I wanted to buy the necklace she loved before she died. The younger employee immediately burst into tears hearing that, because she remembered exactly which necklace Vanessa pointed toward earlier. The same necklace they treated her like a criminal for touching. Vanessa looked toward the display case quietly. My mother spent years cleaning houses for women who wore jewelry like that every day. The room stayed silent. And the sad part, Vanessa whispered, she was twice as kind as most of them. The older businessman beside her finally spoke carefully. Ms. Cole, the board members are waiting upstairs whenever you're ready. Vanessa nodded slowly. But before leaving, she turned back toward the employees one final time. Fear instantly filled their faces again. The manager spoke quickly. Please understand, we can improve. We can change policies. We can... Vanessa interrupted him softly. You still don't understand. The manager stopped talking. This company doesn't have a jewelry problem. Her eyes moved across the showroom. It has a humanity problem. Nobody breathed. You taught employees that wealth deserves comfort while ordinary people deserve suspicion. The manager's shoulders sank lower. And today, Vanessa continued, you made the mistake of assuming a black woman couldn't possibly belong in luxury spaces. Another painful silence settled across the store. Then Vanessa said something nobody expected. Nobody's fired. The employees looked stunned. Even the manager blinked in confusion. Vanessa nodded calmly. Oh, some executives absolutely will be. Her voice sharpened slightly. But not workers surviving inside broken systems. The older businessman beside her smiled faintly because he knew exactly what kind of leader Vanessa had become. Vanessa looked toward the younger employee again. What's your name? The woman hesitated nervously. Emily? Vanessa nodded. Emily? Do better. The employee wiped tears quickly. I will. Vanessa stared at her for a moment longer. Then quietly asked, do you know why people like my mother stay silent during humiliation? Emily shook her head slowly. Because they're afraid losing dignity is still safer than losing opportunity. That sentence shattered whatever emotional defenses remained inside the room. Several employees cried openly now. Vanessa finally took a deep breath and looked around the luxurious showroom one last time. This store was built to celebrate beauty, she said softly, not decide who deserves it. Then she turned toward the diamond necklace behind the glass. The manager immediately rushed forward nervously. Would you like me to package it for you personally? Vanessa looked at him for several long seconds, then calmly answered, no. Everyone froze again. She stepped closer to the display. My mother deserved to buy this herself, and somehow that sentence hurt more than every confrontation before it.